Hey guys, today we're going to start the next section of Chapter 8, and that's 8.2, which is on multiplying and factoring polynomials. We are going to spend 2 days on this, so let's get started. So first things first, we have to multiply a monomial and a trinomial. What we're going to do is use the distributive property. So notice 5y to the fourth minus 3y squared plus 2 is my trinomial, and it's being multiplied by negative 4y to the second. So we have to distribute this negative 4y to the second to all three terms. And we get negative 4y squared times 5y to the fourth, negative 4y squared times negative 3y squared, and negative 4y squared times 2. So negative 4y squared times 5y to the fourth, when you're multiplying monomials together, you multiply the coefficients as is, so negative 4 times negative 5 is negative 20, and then you add the exponents. 2 plus 4 is 6. Negative 4y squared times negative 3y squared, negative 4 times negative 3 is positive 12. Notice there's the plus sign right there. And then y squared times y squared, add the exponents, y to the fourth. And negative 4y squared times 2, negative 4 times 2 is negative 8. And the y squared is not being multiplied by anything, so it stays as y squared. So our final answer is negative 20y to the sixth plus 12y to the fourth minus 8y squared. So we're going to do a couple of these. I want you to try this one on your own. For this one, you should have got 4x squared plus 20x plus 6. Or, sorry, not 6. Plus 24. Because remember, we distribute the 4 to all three terms. Okay? Now try this one with a coefficient, a variable outside the parentheses instead of just a number. So we distribute that x to all three terms, and we get 2x cubed plus 12x squared minus 5x. Alright, now try this one. This has a monomial on the outside that has both a coefficient and a variable. So we distribute that 3f to all three terms. So 3 times 4 is 12, and f times f cubed is f to the fourth, plus 18f squared, and then 3f times negative 8 is minus 24f. And that's the final answer. Try this one. So we distribute the 4y squared to all three terms, and I get 24y to the fourth plus 32 y cubed, and then 4 times negative 9 is negative 36 y squared. Okay. Let's move on to factoring. And again, some of this might be a little confusing at first, but we're going to do a lot of practice with it, and hopefully by the end of these 2 days we'll become experts at it together. So factoring is the reverse operation of multiplying polynomials. So what we were just doing before was multiplying a monomial to a trinomial. We were multiplying every single time. Now we're going to be going backwards. We're going to be factoring, which means we're going to be taking a term out of our trinomial. And in order to do this, we need to find the greatest common factor of polynomials. So here we go. Step one to doing this is you have to find the greatest common factor of the coefficients. finding the greatest common factor of all the numbers in front of our variables. And then step 2 is finding the greatest common factor of all the variables. Okay, so let's walk through this first one together. Okay, so this question says find the greatest common factor of the terms 4x cubed plus 12x squared minus 8x. So first things first, I need to find the greatest common factor of 4, 12, and negative 8. And the answer to that is 4. 4 is the largest number that can go into all three of those coefficients, 4, 12, and negative 8. Don't get this confused with the least common multiple, which is the first number that 4, 12, and 8 can go into. We want the largest number that can go into 4, 12, and negative 8. And that's 4. So now the next step is find the greatest common factor of all the variables. X cubed, x squared, and x. And the best way to do this is to find the variable with the lowest exponent. So I see right here that I have a variable x raised to the first power. That is my greatest common factor. So the answer to this is going to be 4x. So find the greatest common factor of 15w plus 21. The greatest common factor of 15w plus 21 is 3. How about 36x plus 24? The greatest common factor of this one is 12. 14x squared minus 28x. So the greatest common factor of 14 and 28 is 14, and the greatest common factor of x squared and x is x. The reason why it's not x squared, because 2 is a larger number than 1, is because I cannot take x squared out of 28x. I can only take 1x out of it. So therefore, since I can only take 1x out of this, that's going to be my greatest common factor. Try this one. The greatest common factor of 5c cubed plus 15c squared minus 30c is going to just be 5c. And then finally, the last step is factoring out the monomial. So we just worked on finding the greatest common factor of a polynomial. The next step is we have to factor it out. And so in order to do that, we find the greatest common factor, which is what you guys already know how to do. You already know how to do step 1. We already know how to do this because we just did it right now. So the greatest common factor of 3x cubed minus 12x squared plus 15x is 3x. What does that mean? So now I need to factor out the greatest common factor. So I'm going to look at 3x, my greatest common factor, and I'm going to divide all three terms by 3x. And whatever I'm left with is my new trinomial, and that's what stays on the inside. So if I have 3x cubed, and I divide it by 3x, well, the 3's are going to cancel out, because 3 divided by 3 is 1. And then I have x cubed divided by x, and if you remember from before our rules of exponents, whenever we have a division with the same base and different exponents, we subtract those exponents. And so I'm left with x cubed minus 1, which is x squared. And so I'm left with x squared, and if you look, that's what I get. If I did negative 12x squared divided by 3x, negative 12 divided by 3 gives me negative 4. And then x squared divided by x just gives me x. 2 minus 1 is 1. 15x divided by 3x, 15 divided by 3 is 5. X divided by x, those cancel out, so my x variable goes away. And so this is my final answer. We're going to do more work with this in class. Let's try some easy examples first. Factor out the greatest common factor of 6x minus 4. So find the greatest common factor, and then do step 2 from the previous slide. Do this step, factor it out. So the greatest common factor of 6x minus 4 is 2. And if I take 6x and divide it by 2, 6 divided by 2 is 3. And I'm left with the x. And then minus 4 divided by 2 is just 2. So the answer is 2 times 3x minus 2. And remember, you can always check this by going the opposite way, by multiplying 2 to both terms. Distribute. Multiply 2 to 3x and I get 6x. And 2 times negative 2 is minus 4. And look, these two are the same thing. Okay? It's a great way to check. And then make this 20x. So 10x cubed minus 25x squared plus 20x. So the greatest common factor is going to be 5 and then x. So if I take 5x out of this trinomial, what am I left with? 10 divided by 5 is 2. X cubed divided by x leaves me with x squared. Negative 25 divided by 5 is minus 5. And then x squared divided by x is just x to the first, or just x by itself. And then 20 divided by 5 is 4. And then x divided by x, they cancel out. So my final answer is going to be 5x times 2x squared minus 5x plus 4. All right, and so here is your quiz question. I want you to do this on your own. Hopefully this was a good lesson for you. If you have any questions, please ask me, and we can go over it together. Other than that, I hope you took good notes, and I will talk to you later. Bye.